Coming up on the season premiere of Connecticut Game Week, it's our second go-around with all things Huskies. We'll start on the gridiron on the verge of Week 1 of the Jason Candle era for football.
Plenty to look at with the offseason for both the women's and men's basketball programs. We'll have a conversation with the Huskies great about his expectations for the upcoming year.
And we'll check in on some of the programs that have already started their seasons, including a crazy comeback on the pitch in Storrs. All that and more coming up on Connecticut Game Week. Hello and welcome to Season 2, Episode 1 of Connecticut Game Week, talking all things Storrs with the school year already here. Much like the Huskies programs themselves, our team has gone through some offseason changes to the roster. Sean's looking at me like, who is this guy? I'm Nick Hoyt. I'm the new executive producer. You'll see my face here from time to time. The guy standing next to me, you do recognize. He is our returning veteran, Sean Humphrey, and it's good to have you back, my friend. Let's have some fun.
Hey, thanks, Nick. It's good to be back. Donnie Wahlberg is not here, but obviously we've got some new kids on the block, and the third member of our team will join us soon, so we'll have a full depth chart going into a new season. One team that knows what it's like to have a new-look roster, Nick, that's UConn football. The Huskies come into this year with a lot of fresh faces and a new man steering the ship. Those changes, and this team is our best in show.
And we're going to run this thing out as long as we possibly can to make sure that all three of them feel like they had an authentic opportunity to go win the job. And that was my commitment to them.
Nick, the quarterback battle has been the story of the offseason, a constant question Coach Kendall has had to answer.
Yeah, naturally. New team, new man under center, right? The candidates for the job, Tennessee transfer Jake Merklinger, Caleb Osborne, who's one of the guys coming in from Toledo, and senior Tucker McDonald. We will find out, of course, soon who wins the battle. As for the rest of the team, this group throughout camp developing a chip on its shoulder as it gets ready to begin a new era for the program.
We all came here for a reason. A lot of us been overlooked. A lot of us have a reason on why we're here, whether it's Coach Kendall or just overlooked-wise. But I feel like a lot of people have that revenge story in their hearts right now that they're ready to sit here and go after and prove everybody wrong.
You know, I think the biggest thing last year was that we had a veteran group. We had a veteran quarterback and we had veteran receivers. So now it's a little bit of flip-flopped, you know. There's a lot of guys that want to prove themselves and show that they belong.
Next week, we'll have much more with the new-look Huskies. UConn football will face the Lafayette Leopards. Gotta love the name. Next Saturday, September 5th. That game kicks off at noon.
Doesn't matter the time of the year in Connecticut, though. We're talking football, and now we're talking hoops, because Hoops Talk is Hoops Talk, Sean. And with all we know about the college game these days, there's many times that teams, well, they're just working. They're working in the gym. They're getting better and getting ready for when the season starts. In less words, I'm explaining and rambling on here. Dan Hurley and the Huskies are already preparing for the season.
Yeah, and it's a 12-month program. It's something that Hurley has talked about, and he brings his intensity into the offseason. So, of course, the work doesn't begin in the fall. How could it? I mean, the last time we saw this team, it was in the national championship game. And if this team's season ends in Detroit in 2027, it would mean the Huskies have made their fourth Final Four appearance in 5 years. And there may be a lot of new faces on UConn's roster, but Silas Demery Jr. is back. And, Nick, that's a huge deal.
Oh, it definitely is. He'll get a lot of love before the season starts. With preseason honors and then some, the senior putting together an all-Big East first-team campaign in his first year in Storrs and toughed it out through the NCAA tournament, doing everything he could to help lead the Huskies to that national championship game.
And, Nick, one of those key performances last season, 23 points and 15 assists in a comeback win over Providence. And both of us were there in Providence at that game. What do you take away from his performance?
Yeah, I frequented that arena a lot the last few years. And UConn was relentless, resilient, and Demery embodied that throughout the night and in a very tough environment, Sean.
Coach Hurley, of course, did not mince words when he talked about just how highly he and his staff thinks of Silas.
We're looking at him like this year, like this is, you know, like you're going to play your way into the first round, or you're going to play your way into a draft range where, you know, we're going all in for him to, like, you know, let's get over the hump and win the championship, and let's get you to the NBA. Obviously, that's the plan. That's what we're going for. We think that highly of his ability.
We got to push more positivity. Then we got to get some of the hate out of our hearts. We got to have a more positive world.
The on-court talents are obvious with Demery Jr., but what's just as impressive about the young man is the efforts he's making to help the community. Again, he's only been here a year, right, coming in. In August, the Huskies guard, along with his family and foundation, putting together a back-to-school bash to help kids in Hartford get ready to head back with a free backpack loaded up with school supplies. Demery Jr. using his platform for good. Now, one thing Dan Hurley said during his last session with the media this summer, or at least tried to say, was a quote from the movie Hoosiers. Quote, "My team is on the court." Basically saying, Sean, the roster is set. There won't be any changes. And that was in response to all the craziness that's happening in college sports right now.
Yeah, the class of 2022 has been tempted to jump back into the mix with new rules for eligibility and a recent court ruling possibly allowing those athletes to compete one more time. Obviously, quite the can of worms, Pandora's box, but it's all open.
You ain't kidding, man. You ain't kidding.
Insanity. But the basics of it. During the summer, a court decision said those class of 2022 athletes could get a waiver to be eligible for another year with the new NCAA rules. The NCAA, though, recently got an appeals court decision on its side that puts a pause to that. It obviously creates a mess for all these sports, including basketball. And Coach Hurley had plenty to say recently about the current state of things through social media in a very Dan Hurley way, I'd say, and then to the press.
We can't go on like this. I mean, no other sport is going like this. And anyone that acts like it's like that it's great, it's fine, it's good for college basketball, they've already taken the stance that this is what they've wanted, and now they're just defending their position. It's total chaos. And it's not sustainable.
Not sustainable. Hurley spoke for about 5 minutes on this topic, obviously not lacking in passion.
Gets it back. Here's a shot from distance. And it goes in! But did the game run out?
Spoiler alert, it did not. That's the great Joe D on the call of a buzzer beater for the women's soccer team against Boston University on Sunday night after being down 1-0 for most of the night. The Huskies tying things up in the 87th minute, and then at the 90-minute mark, Jessica Carr scores to lift UConn to a 2-1 victory in the first win of the season. That is a heck of a way to get a great result for the Huskies. That is awesome. Coming up on Connecticut Game Week, a pair of Huskies come home, see what the return of Paige Bueckers and AZ Fudd look like with the Dallas Wings playing the Connecticut Sun this summer.
And speaking of women's hoops, the Dynasty doc is a big recent talking point highlighting the history of UConn women's basketball. We talk with the filmmakers.
And honoring the program's historian, we'll give a nod to a Hall of Fame sports writer who we lost this summer. That's all coming up on Connecticut Game Week.
Time now for our top dog, and you heard the reaction there, and I'll bet your ears are still ringing.
Mine are.
The
That was
party
awesome.
of the summer. Yeah, mine are still ringing from the summer. This was the party of the summer. Paige Bueckers and AZ Fudd returned to Connecticut. The former national champions faced the Connecticut Sun in Hartford with the WNBA's Dallas Wings. Welcome back to Connecticut Game Week. Nick, this was a one-of-a-kind event. The Sun, in their final season, happened to play a game in Hartford, and the reception for Bueckers and Fudd, even as visitors, it was nothing short of a hero's welcome.
Yeah, you'd expect nothing less, right? 2 national champions, 2 top overall draft picks, and one of the last chances, of course, to see the pair before the Connecticut Sun make their unfortunate move, of course.
Yeah, something that maybe people in Connecticut don't necessarily want to hear. But the noise started when they took the floor. And in a tight game, the fans sustained that noise the entire time. They roared during the starting lineup with every Paige bucket, if you will. And mind you, Fudd had an off night, just 4 points. But the place exploded when she finally got one to fall. And we heard from Bueckers about how much it meant to her to have the chance to play one more game at People's Bank Arena.
It's the XL Center to me, but no, it's really cool. It's definitely weird the locker room's brand new. Everything's new when I left, so that's awesome. But to see the court have Connecticut Sun on it and not a Husky is pretty weird and different, but grateful for it, just to be able to play here.
The Dynasty, UConn Huskies, is a 3-part docuseries all looking at the rise of UConn women's basketball, including a behind-the-scenes look at the 2025 National Championship run. I spoke with the directors Matt Hamachek and Erica Sashin. Here's part of our conversation.
So why continue the Dynasty brand? What made you want to move forward with that?
Well, it's interesting when Eric and I started on this project, I don't think either of us knew all that much about the UConn Huskies. And the exact same thing applied for me when I started on the Patriots dynasty story and on the Tiger Woods story, or, the Amanda Knox story. When we were doing color for the project, our colorist, Seth Ricart, was watching the series over and over again as we were going through that process. And he said, I think this is really a series about parenting. And then you talk to somebody else and it's about another thing. And I think that the more you can make these stories, the things that everybody can sort of interpret in their own way for what's going on in their lives, I think they become much more universal and evergreen. And I think that's what we were going for all along.
Erica, when someone goes through your track record, your production credits, they see just this Renaissance woman of sorts. There's just so many different places that you've told stories. So why sports? Why this specific team? And did you kind of get what you were expecting out of working on this project? Was it more or less than what you expected? Like, what was the experience like for you with this being kind of different than a lot of what you've worked on in the past?
Yeah, no, you're right that I had never made a sports documentary before. And it was something that I really wanted to do because I'm not very into sports. It's not something I follow or know much about, but it's something that, as Matt touched on, a great sports documentary isn't so much about sports as it is about humanity. And so I wanted to be able to touch people and to sort of really pull out these universal themes that are so present in sports, but really relate to all of us.
And thank you, Sean, for sharing some of that conversation with us. Some sad news. A man who was there from the beginning of Gino Auriemma's building of the program passing away. We lost Carl Adamec, Hearst UConn women's basketball reporter this summer. Adamec covered Huskies women's hoops for over 40 years with the Journal-Inquirer in Manchester. Known for being the go-to scribe, the authority around the program, he was inducted into the U.S. Basketball Writers Hall of Fame in 2023 for all the work he did covering the Huskies. Jeff Goldberg, remembering his colleague, when asked about Adamec.
Most of us would come and go, but he was always there, and so he got to see everything. He saw all 12. I mean, I'm sure he's the only journalist that covered all 12 championships. I don't think there's any question about that. He was unique from a media perspective.
Carl Adamec was 68 years old.
Still ahead on Connecticut Game Week, a summer hoops chat with Chris Smith, what the UConn men's basketball great thinks about this year's group.
And we're setting things up. Get it? With the UConn women's volleyball team as the Huskies get ready to begin a new campaign. Back with more Connecticut Game Week after this. Welcome back, and our guy Sean Humphrey has been very busy this summer covering a lot of sports, carrying the sports department on his shoulders. Are you okay? You all right? You a little sore? You a little sore on the shoulders?
No. I'm nice and well rested. Good. Like just we're ready to run the race.
That's good. Yeah, well, I'm here to try to help you, Sean.
Yeah,
so,
thank you.
Hopefully I can. And you've been talking to a lot of people this summer, and you had a chance recently to talk to a UConn great in Chris Smith, which is pretty cool. Yeah,
one of the guys who's kind of responsible for that first era of UConn men's basketball and putting the program on the map. And we got to talk to him about a number of things. We covered a lot of ground. And Huskies like him also love to talk about the present and what's going on in addition to the past, like the people he played with, like Donnie Marshall And I talked to him about what's going on with Dan Hurley's group. Here's part of our conversation this summer with Bridgeport, Connecticut's Chris Smith.
We can start with the men, how stacked the non-conference schedule is. Is there a game you're looking forward to, or maybe a storyline people aren't watching as they look forward to, the Kansas game, the Virginia game, and all of the beefy non-conference games we're going to see?
No, I look forward to all of them. Every game that they play, I'm just so excited about this UConn team. But I tell you what, the game I need to go to is Duke versus UConn in Las Vegas. I tell all my friends, I said, it's in Las Vegas. It's against Duke. You got to go. That's the game that you want to see. So that's the game I'm looking forward to.
How do you feel about the roster turnover this year? Obviously, a lot of returning players, especially Braylon Mullins. Like, maybe we wouldn't have expected him to come back after the year he was having last year, but you replace two of your highest contributors in the front court. What do you expect with the roster mix this year?
I'm definitely anxious to see what it's going to look like. We got the big guy Hines in the middle. I really think that he's going to, really be good for us this year. He plays over the rim. He rebounds. He's tough inside. We got the kid Nick from Duke that was a freshman last year. I think he's going to be exciting. He's versatile. He can shoot. He can handle the ball. And when you add guys like Ross and, Demery and Mullins with the mix, I think we have a really good team. If they move the ball, run the offense that Danny put together, I think you're going to see a nice, smooth offense this year. Obviously, Mullins is going to score his points, but I think you're going to see other guys come in and, contribute a lot more this year as well.
How do you replace the impact of a guy like Alex Caravan? I mean, that's almost impossible in and of itself when you talk about his locker room impact, but then just some of the things he was doing on the court as well.
It's tough. It's tough to replace a guy like Alex Caravan. Alex Caravan is one of those players that will always be known. He's one of those glue guys. They always say when you find somebody that feels like the coach on the court, that was Alex Caravan, and that's kind of tough to replace. Solo Ball could be that guy. Demery could be that guy, but those guys are a little bit more quiet than Alex. But I think they can show those type of leaderships this year. Braylon definitely can do that as well. So.
Yeah, Sean, it'll be interesting to see what the mix is this year. Obviously, Alex Caravan gone, but plenty of great returners coming back to the program. Plenty to be excited about with the future of the Huskies here. And I'm sure it was great to hear all the old stories there from Chris Smith. By the way, still the program's all-time leading scorer. That is really, really impressive. With all the great players that have come through, he's still number one.
Absolutely. I mean, even the great players over the past few years, and the fact Caravan, he snatched a good handful of records during his time at UConn, but didn't get the all-time leading scorer record. Maybe that's something that we'll ask Hurley to poke him a little bit about.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, we'll see. Yeah, and Dan Hurley's Huskies try to get back to a fourth Final Four in 5 years this winter, which is going to be really, really exciting to watch and follow, and we'll obviously have you posted here on Connecticut Game Week.
It's incredible, especially with the non-conference schedule they have. Maybe we'll dig into that non-con next week.
Yeah.
But checking in on some of the other programs, UConn men's soccer has already kicked things off for the fall season. Nice camera work, Nick.
Thanks, bud. It's knocking off the rust.
In the season opener, the Huskies got a goal from Elijah Langford in the 85th minute, but unfortunately fell to Syracuse 2-1. The Huskies also fell to UMass 3-1. UConn is expected to compete well again in the Big East this season with Kyle Durham in goal. The redshirt junior was honored as the preseason Big East goalkeeper of the year.
And nice to visit recently with the UConn women's volleyball team on campus as well. The Huskies are part of the Penn State Invitational and are set to open up the new schedule with 3 matches against High Point, Penn State, and Hofstra in PA. Coach Ellen Herman Kimball's group is focused on making good habits consistent every day in practice, and a 3-word mantra, which was very noticeable at the practice session we were at, seems to be helping that cause.
The back of our shirts say iron sharpens iron, and I think we're really trying to live that out to our fullest potential. These girls, they show up every day for rehab. They work their butts off and lift. Weights are going up every week, which is really exciting. We're showing up on time for meetings. We're really just crushing all of those intangible things. So I think that iron sharpens iron. We're living it, and we're doing an excellent job in that space.
Coming up, what's in stores for next week and beyond? We'll look ahead to the fall season fully getting going.
Oh yeah, the football is right around the corner, and a popular Instagram has some fun at the expense of Dan Hurley. We'll end the show with a laugh when Connecticut Game Week returns. Welcome back. What's in stores for next week? Well, it's finally officially football season. Week 1 for Jason Candle's Huskies begins. We'll continue to preview the season and new era for UConn on the gridiron as prep fully ramps up for Lafayette.
And coming up next week, we'll check in again with the women's soccer team and feature a pair of locals who look to lead the Huskies to success. Riley Prazo and Jessica Carr, who you saw earlier in the show, score the buzzer beater against BU. They're both from Southington. One thing about Jessica Carr, though, when we sat down, we had some fun. I asked her if she had any hidden talents.
My friends will tell you I sing all the time. I do sing, definitely a shower singer, but I would sing like my national anthems for my high school games. I sang for a couple talent shows. I love singing. But if you ask me to get on a big stage in front of people, I probably won't.
That's so interesting.
Yeah,
wow.
Life of the party, that Jessica Carr, I guess figuratively and literally, and you're sparking the party earlier in the show. You know?
I want to hear the pipes at some point.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
We'll have to get her to sing something.
Yeah, right, exactly. Wrapping things up on our season premiere, let's have some fun. You ever see this guy, Max is Nice, on Instagram? I remember some of his impressions of NBA stars, LeBron, Jokic, etc. But this summer, he had one that spoke to UConn fans.
We all know how animated Dan Hurley can be on the sideline, and so playing off of that, Max is Nice did his impression of Hurley's reaction to the Braylon Mullins game winner from this past March. Take a look.
Yeah, this is great. The best part was seeing the reaction and comments from some of Hurley's former players at UConn and URI, too. I knew some of those guys in the comments and more. That's what it's all about, right? You got to have fun with it. And I mean, look, he puts the arms up, the jacket's going, he's getting held back. Like, that is Dan Hurley.
Funny, I had never seen this before. We saw it earlier in the broadcast, so this is hilarious to me as well. Hurley himself saw the Instagram video and had a laugh, like we all did, and what was a pretty spot-on impression. We'll see a lot more of that from Hurley for real very soon.
That we will. That wraps up Connecticut Game Week, Week 1. Great to be with you, Sean. Looking forward to a great year.
Likewise, Nick, and tune in every week throughout the school year as we continue to feature all things UConn.
For our entire crew who helped put this thing together, special shout out to Grace, my partner, Sean Humphrey. I'm Nick Coy. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next week.